Hey guys, it's Matt here with MCEnigmaFishing. I just wanted to give you guys an update on my sponsorships as well as how my fishing's been going at home, down here in Central Florida. And today we're going to go over, do a little rod review, show you what's in my arsenal, what I'm using, kind of give a few shout outs to my different sponsors and show you guys some of the tackle I'm using to show you kind of how we do it here in Central Florida for bank fishers as well as doing some competitive fishing, which I'm starting to get into. As of about 3 or 4 months ago, I was on pro staff with Enigma Fishing. This is a very, very nice, great company. The people that work there are fantastic, and the rods they have are top quality. Somebody who grew up in the Panhandle of Florida, it's a heavy saltwater fishing area up there. But I myself am not a big open water fisherman. I'd rather be on a lake or on a pond. Down here in Orlando, where I am now, it's bank fishing a lot. Every chance I get out on a boat. Thanks to Enigma and the other companies I work with, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I actually have more opportunities to go out and help them grow their companies and promote the equipment that I think is some of the best in the business, if not the best. So as far as the rods go for Enigma, I do have 6 rods in my arsenal right now. I have 3 Phenoms, 1 Aaron's Edge, and 2 HPTs. So that's their high performance titanium model that they have. Those are the thick stuff rods. You're using that to get out of thick grass, and you're using it to get out of anything else you could possibly think of. Those are more stout, and they're designed for the more heavy fishing line, heavy lures. They're meant for the heavier fishing, power fishing. The Phenom is their just everyday perfect rod. I have 3 of those. I've got 2 that are 7'3" medium heavies. Fast action rods. Those are my workhorse rods. I use them for everything from worms to crankbaits to anything else you could possibly think of. And the other one that I have is their Aaron's Edge. I use the Mag Bass 7'3" heavy, and I use that for my pitching rod and my jig stick. They hold up very, very good. And I caught my personal best on that rod about 3 weeks ago. About 7 pound, 8 ounce. Largemouth here at Stark Lake in Ocoee, and it was just right off the fishing pier. It wasn't out on a boat, wasn't out on a great location. I just tossed a chatterbait out. They munched it on the second turn, and that rod held up fantastically. Didn't have any kind of issues. Got that fish on the dock, got it weighed. It was nice. So I'll go ahead and show you what I have set up right now on my different rods. Like I said, this is going to be the 7'3" medium heavy fast action rod that I use. It's the Phenom model for Enigma Fishing. And paired with it right now, I have a Ardent Tournament Series 6.5 to 1 gear ratio bait caster. I have it cinched down a little bit recently. The wind's been really bad in Central Florida, especially in the afternoons with the thunderstorms coming through. But on the reel right now, I have something from my other sponsor. I have a 17-pound fluorocarbon from Vicious Fishing. It's their Pro Elite fluorocarbon. This stuff is fantastic. Has pretty much almost no line memory, and it's very, very durable, very, very abrasion resistant, and it holds up great with anything you can possibly throw at it here in Florida. I've had no issues with knots breaking off. I've had no issues with fish taking the line out. They hold up very, very well. Only time I've ever had it is when I get snagged on roots or I get snagged on a tree, and it's not the equipment's fault, it's the fisherman's fault. Paired with this right now, I just have that 17-pound fluorocarbon with I think it's a 4 or a 5 extra wide gap worm hook and a 3/8 ounce lead weight. I'm waiting for my tungsten to come in. It's been taking forever. So next one we're going to talk about is going to be my Aaron's Edge This is my pitching stick. This is my not as heavy as my flipping stick, but this is my jig rod. This is my go-to whenever I'm flipping docks. If I'm going anywhere near the thick grass that's heavily covered with bulrushes and whatnot, this was my go-to rod. As of right now, I have it paired with the newest rod in my arsenal, the newest reel in my arsenal, which is the Ardent Apex Grand. This thing's fantastic. It casts a freaking mile, and it's smooth as butter every single time. I don't have any issues with backlash. That magnetic control is perfect, as well as the torsion control over here on the other side. And same with my other rod, I have this one paired off with a 20-pound fluorocarbon from Vicious Fishing, Vicious Pro Elite, awesome stuff, and got my little rod sock on there. And I have this right now paired up with a 3/8 ounce Arky head jig that I got from a company on eBay called Yank Tackle. And those guys make fantastic equipment. The paint never dents off. The skirts are unlike anything you've ever seen. It's a lot more lifelike. It's not that stiff rubber you get on some of the other ones you pick up at Bass Pro or Cabela's. And as far as the trailer on it right now, until I get my other stuff in from my last order, I'm using a Gambler Ugly Otter in watermelon red with black flake. And it's very, very, very good underwater. Has a lot of good action, and I can flip it into those heavy mats and heavy pads, and it gets down to the bottom, and I can skip it if I need to get under docks. This is probably one of my favorite rods. I actually landed, like I said earlier, my personal best on this rod itself. Different reel. I had an Arden Apex Pro on there. I actually just sent that one back to Arden to have a side plate screw replaced. But these things are fantastic. High quality. I highly recommend these for anybody who's looking for a little bit heavier stick. They do have quite a variant of these rods on Enigma's website, enigmafishing.com. But they have spinning rods and casting rods in each different category, whether it be Phenom or Aaron's Edge or the HPT, which is what I use for my flipping stick. These things are great. I highly recommend them. If you get a chance, they're very, very affordable, and they'll hold up better than most of the other rods you've got in your arsenal right now. The last one that we're going to talk about for today is going to be my broom handle. This is my flipping stick. This is the Enigma HPT 7'11" extra heavy flipping stick. This is my pad puncher. This is my favorite rod to use, but I don't get to use it a whole lot because me being a bank fisherman who occasionally gets to go fish in tournaments on the weekends, I don't get to go out on the boat and get to the good pads. This thing is a monster. I could pull my car with this thing and it wouldn't even flinch. As of right now, I'm waiting for my last reel to come in from Arden. Right now I have this paired with a 13 Origin A, 8.1 to 1 gear ratio, 65 pound Seagar flipping braid from Denny Brower. That stuff's amazing. It won't give an inch on any of the fish you're trying to catch. Doesn't matter if they're in the stumps or if they're in the weeds. You're going to be able to get them out. That stuff has no give to it at all. Right now I have it paired up with a 4/0 flipping hook, little bobber stop, and a punch rig from another company off of eBay. They're called Cajun Boss. They're based out of Louisiana. And this one is a 1 ounce punching rig with a skirt. I forgot to get the one with the rattles. I want to try that one next time when I order from them. But I believe this one's either called the Widowmaker or the Garbage Gut. I forgot the color of this one, but it works really, really good down here in Florida. You pair it with something black and blue or June bug and toss it under the weeds, and you're going to get something to come out after it. But as far as these rods go, they do come in a lot of different choices. Like I said, this is the biggest one they have. This is the most dense stick that they have. It's very, very strong. It's about a 90-10 rod, so it's 90% backbone, 10% tip. And you want to be able to have that power behind it to horse these fish out of those big chunks of pads and big chunks of Kissimmee grass we have down here in Orlando. So highly recommend this if you guys are looking for a flipping stick. Again, they do have different variants. They have anywhere from 6'10", I believe, up to 7'11", different handle combinations. I decided to go with the non-full cork just because I like having this little handle down here to work with if I need to. And they do have those nice little screw-on reel holders. But me being forgetful, I always make sure I put a little piece of electrical tape on my rods telling me what's on there. 65-pound braid, 20-pound fluorocarbon, 17-pound fluorocarbon. It just helps me pick rods out a little bit faster. But that's all I have for the rod portion. I do want to give a huge shout out to my sponsors. I am sponsored right now, like I said, by Enigma Fishing and Vicious Fluorocarbon. Vicious Fishing. Those guys are awesome. Their customer service is like no one else's. I've never had that good of an experience with the company before, and these guys are amazing. Whether it be Jesse over at Enigma or anybody else, I highly recommend them. If you guys need rods or equipment, contact them. They'll hook you up with some good stuff. The last one I have is going to be my newest sponsor that I just recently got, and that is TIghtLinesUV. These are some of the most innovative baits out on the market, and they work. A lot of people tend to go to their normal lakes and they'll go grab their watermelon reds or their black and blues or their June bugs and throw those all day long. Fish do not care what you're throwing. They're smart. They've seen that kind of bait before. If they've been caught before, they're most likely not going to go for it again. The big thing with the TIghtLines UV baits is they do have UV actually cooked into the baits themselves when they are being made. The big reason behind that is when you get into some of the deeper water, you get into some of the thing that's more than 4 to 6 foot, you get down to 6 to 10, 10 to 20 foot water. When you're about 4 foot of water, only about 80% of the light or 20% of the light is going to be natural light, so sunlight. Everything else is going to be UV. Anything below 10 feet, it's going to be pretty much entirely UV. When you get these these TIghtLines UV baits down underwater, they glow. They shine, they glow. They look like the bait fish that you're chasing. Down here in Florida, we have a lot of wild shiners. We have a lot of bluegill, brim, some of the smaller fish, and they tend to be sparkly and shiny underwater. And having that UV cooked into the bait makes it a lot easier for the fish to see it. And the big quote that I love from the founder of TIghtLines is, fish rarely bite what they don't see. So fish are able to see these baits a little better because they see things on the UV spectrum instead of in regular color like humans do. And the amount of new baits that this company just came out with iCast, they're fantastic. I'm personally super excited to try out the new ones. It's called the Sow Belly Twister. Once I get that one in stock, guys, I'll do a product review and tell you how my luck with it. I'll probably fish it here in a tournament coming up in August over on Lake Kissimmee. As well as their new ones. It's the Wenko, which is basically a whisker version of their Vinco, which was their stick bait, and also their Ripple Power worm, which is basically their 7-inch trick worm. You can put on a shaky head, looks really, really good underwater, makes a lot of movement. And then I picked up a couple of their hybrid craw, which is one of their new creature baits with long legs and whiskers. Also, I picked up their T-craw, which is one of their jig trailers. It's actually designed by Jesse, who's over at Enigma, and it works really, really good. Haven't had a chance to order the Scott Martin punch yet. I'm going to try that on my next order. I'll let you guys know what I think. But if you guys are interested in trying their baits out, let me know. I will post my affiliate link down in the chat if you guys are interested, or down in the description here of the video. If you guys are interested, it'll help me out. Try those baits out. You won't be disappointed. They catch things like you wouldn't believe. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Tight lines.